Right. Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everyone. So the next 10 to 50 minutes or so, I will be talking about two of the most hyped buzzwords in market research at the moment. Automation and voice, and how it's defining or going to define market research. So, as Dan said, my name is Stefan. And I head up the sales teams in the Benelux and Scandinavian countries for, indeed, Dynata. So I'll be talking about former trends in research shortly, automation, then voice. Now we'll do a Q&A where I hope there is interaction on how you feel about these topics as well. So on June 18th, 2010, I married this lovely looking lady. So that's exactly 9 years ago today. And then, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. 6 months later, I joined, indeed, Survey Sampling International, which then became SSI, which then became Research Now SSI, and which is now Dynata. And I think there's a real clear correlation between that picture with hair, me standing here without the hair, and me joining SSI or Dynata. So while I was working on this presentation, it got me thinking about the past 9 years, because that's quite the time, right? Not only for a relationship, but also for a job. And like in any other job, it comes with ups and downs. Sometimes you're really, really happy with your job, and sometimes you want to change jobs. Good thing she isn't here today. It got me also thinking about trends. And in my personal life, there are two real clear trends. One is called Finn, and the other one is called Pip. Life-changing trends in pretty much any possible way. But all jokes aside, when looking back at the past, 8.5 years of my life within the market research industry, because I come from an advertising agency, there are a lot of trends, or there have been a lot of so-called trends over the past, let's say, 9 years. And the first one was definitely mobile. When I started working here, people told me that mobile was the next big thing. Everyone, literally everyone, every conference that you got to attend, everyone's talking about mobile. And that it would definitely change the world of online research and surveys in particular. And in a way, it did. However, fast forward 9 years, and I literally, 3 weeks ago, I was invited to talk at a different market research event, talk about mobile. How, what the risk of your questionnaire not being mobile friendly would mean to your actual survey. And I have to admit, like the group of people the audience that I was talking to, mainly existed of quite traditional researchers working for governmental organizations, but still 9 years. So another one is big data. If you would have asked 5 people a couple of years ago what big data is, you would get 5 different answers. Because a lot of researchers had no idea, right? Big data was just the next buzzword. It was everything that had to do with all kinds of data. I still think that today, a lot of researchers still don't know what it means, but I also think that with the development of, let's say, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we're getting there. And the third one, the third trend, or maybe I should call it hype, virtual reality. I've seen good examples of how you could use virtual reality for research. Absolutely good looking, working well, but for most of us, it's still kind of a gimmick. And the question is this going to be the next big thing? Or maybe It's augmented reality, not virtual reality, where augmented reality combines reality with a digital reality. Time will tell. But as with a lot of so-called trends, some are here to stay, and some will never make good on their promise. Which also means that what I'm telling here today is quite risky. Because automation, it's already happening, it's already here. But I'm also talking about voice. And voice hasn't really proved itself, and still needs to prove itself for a longer period of time. So maybe, when I work at the same company but with a different name 5 years from now, it might very well be that voice is one of those trends that actually never happened. So, automation and voice. Lenny Murphy, founder of Green Book, said, the question is not whether automation is a good thing, but how we can make good things happen through the process of automation. So what is automation? According to Wikipedia, automation is the technology by which a process or procedure is performed with minimal human assistance. So that's quite clear and nothing new. In 1947, Henry Ford established an automation department to help them build his Ford automobiles. And also in market research, it's really nothing new, right? We've been automating things for a couple of years already. Think about automatically getting your data visualized in a dashboard or whatsoever. But what we currently see is that we're kind of taking it to the next level. And with the development of machine learning and artificial intelligence, the next big step is really close by. So one of the present opportunities is the rise of do-it-yourself sampling platforms, obviously. Upload or script your questionnaire and receive the data visualized in the dashboard the same day. But also think about automatic coding, speech-to-text, charting, social media listening, and maybe even video analysis. And again, the next step is the implementation of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So even interpretation of data and writing of your reports will be done automatically. As Ray Pointer said, automation may tend to report the simple truth, but not the key ones. And I agree with that, at least for now. So we know that the need for research to kind of stay ahead of the curve for a lot of companies is bigger than ever. Yet research spend is not going up. It actually is decreasing in a lot of countries. Companies are asking for more insights at scale, but for lower cost. And that's really hard when looking at the traditional research process, which could take you up to 6 weeks, maybe even longer, and will cost you a lot of money. So when you need insights fast, you can use a do-it-yourself platform to cut the process from maybe 6 weeks into 1 week. And imagine not just the speed, but also the cost. But as Ray also pointed out, the risk of those platforms are the quality of data. Who controls the quality? What's the data input? Where's the data coming from? Who owns the data? All questions to be answered when using an automated platform. So obviously there are a lot of use cases. Pretty much any researcher that has no budget or no time, or limited budget and very limited time, could set up a study through such a platform. And then you don't need those 6 weeks, or you don't need that $20,000 to $30,000 to do your research, which means that now a lot of people have access to research. So, then voice. We think that voice is the new mobile, in a way that everyone will start talking about it. Everyone is already talking about voice. But also that it's probably going to take a while before we as an industry are truly implementing voice on a larger scale. However, one of the reasons why we think it's quite similar is because voice assistant adoption is growing rapidly, especially in countries like China, US, or the UK, where from all smartphone owners, 58% of the Chinese people use their voice assistant. And also, the ownership of in-home voice assistants, is growing rapidly. And 71% of owners of smart speakers, they use their voice assistant at least once a day. 44% would use that assistant multiple times a day. And at 50% of all search will be via voice stack in 2020. And 30% of web browsing will be done without a screen. So let that sink for a moment. 30% of all web browsing sessions will be done without a screen. Think about what that does for your job, but also for your client. It's going to change the customer decision journey, the path to purchase. How are you going to deal with that? Not only as a brand, but also as a research firm. How are you going to do your research? When they're searching differently, when they search with different meta tags, pretty much, with different words. What are the words that they are using? So I would like to show you a cool example which we did 2 years ago already. Our CTO, David Zodder.
I'll show you now. All right. Alexa, ask quick thoughts for a survey.
Did you watch TV in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, or all day?
The evening.
Please say your favorite TV show that you watched yesterday.
The Big Bang Theory.
Do you use Amazon Prime, Netflix, or both to watch TV shows?
Both.
Did you DVR any shows yesterday?
Yes.
What was the last movie that you purchased on demand?
Star Wars.
Thank you for taking this survey. You have earned $2 for participating.
Alexa, ask quick thoughts for my rewards balance.
You have earned $100.
Alexa, ask quick thoughts for a $5 iTunes gift card.
We have emailed you your $5 into a gift card.
That's awesome.
Like how satisfied he is, right? That's super cool. First experiment. So think about it, like maybe in a year or 2 years from now, Alexa will be in your home asking you a few questions, and for participating, you get a 2% discount on one of those Amazon products on your digital wish list. And based on your voice, she recognizes who speaks, and then we can automatically fill your background variables. Think about what it does for your data input. How are you going to get that to an actual report? And maybe it isn't even necessary to think about it, because it will all be done automatically. Speech to text, artificial intelligence, writing your report. The only thing you have to do as a researcher is go to the client and present the results. So, to wrap this up, the market research world is changing, as it is always changing, and it has always been changing. But I also strongly feel that we need to adopt new technologies in a much faster pace than we used to, right? Think back to the mobile example where we needed 9 years, and some of the researchers, maybe even here in this room, need even longer to make that their own and implement it in their research. But change is coming faster and faster, so we need to be able to adopt that change. Automation, voice, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and maybe even augmented reality will play a huge part, or at least a much bigger part, in the near future. Ericsson predicts that the smartphone in itself will become obsolete in the next 5 years, and that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago even. So think about that. Voice assistants without a screen will rise. How does that affect your day-to-day job? And at least for the foreseeable future, I also think that human consulting remains important, but data input and data processing will actually change. That's it. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Ready?
Hello, it's working? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So my name is Regina. I work for Serial Partners, a joint venture between Nestle and General Mills. So I have a question for you. I see that there's going to be a lot of changes coming, and it's been already changing quite a bit in the ways we're testing. And how do you see the CI role evolving, like in terms of expertise? Based on what you've been doing, what type of expertise we should develop more, level of knowledge?
Really interesting question.
It's quite, I just wanted to have your point of view on that. It's quite broad. But
yeah, it is quite broad, and I think we can spend the entire afternoon probably thinking with everyone in this room how it's going to change. So for now, we think that especially data input and data processing is going to change, right? Which means that for researchers, there's more time to develop a research idea. Why are we going to do research on that? And more importantly, there's more time to interpret the results and present it to the clients. Then, in the future, let's call it like that, I think that artificial intelligence and machine learning will take over a huge part of that role, of that researcher, where you don't need a researcher to look at the first results that you have, because the machine or that what we use then is already doing that job for you. Does that mean that a lot of researchers will be out of a job? I don't know, maybe yes. Yeah. And also, what we hire now, a lot of times, are data scientists, right? And we probably need data scientists to do some of the modeling that we're using, but we now also use data scientists to interpret a lot of the big data or data coming from the Internet of Things. And we don't need that at some point, because we have machines to do that for us. So, near future, it's all about not worrying about data collection or where the data is coming from and processing that data up until a certain stage. Then, in the future, there's a different role for the researchers. And it's not looking at the data and telling what you see.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
That's easy.
That was easy. Hi, this is Yolanda from JTI. First of all, thank you. It was really inspiring, and seeing that it had voice recognition on the next trends was wow. It's something that we were thinking about for a while at JTI, and I'm not sure I understood correctly. What you did was a pilot test, or was it okay? Then my question would be, what will the challenges for a researcher be or look like when using voice recognition?
Well, I think for now there's not enough base, right, to do your entire research through voice, which means that if you would need 1,000 consumers now and you would do it through voice, maybe you can get up to 200, which means that you still have 800 people answering a normal online questionnaire, and that poses the same difficulties as with the transformation from CATI to online research, right? Where you would combine two different interviewing methods, methodologies, into one data set. So I think, like, for now, that's probably the most difficult part about it. And then from, like, again, mobile perspective, right? We also tell people that over 30% of the people take a survey on their mobile, which means that if your survey isn't mobile friendly, you're excluding 30%. A lot of people don't even care. So that's also something.
Fabulous. Can we please give a round of applause for Stefan?